Hey everybody, is this live? There's no ding. So surprise, surprise, I checked out Google Plus today to try this Google Plus, this Google Hangouts, and it's different. The page is different, and shock and awe. It's not. It was different, so it took me a little bit. It's kind of a multi-faceted type of hangout here. One of the main things is I wanted to refamiliarize myself with this. I'm hoping to host a Google Hangout this coming week. I'll tell you more once things kind of get settled in and stuff. But I wanted to kind of use this program again and mess around with some things while I'm also discussing the free comic book day stuff. The first thing I'm going to just play around with here, if you'll just bear with me for a moment, I'm just playing around with the volume just to see how much that affects my speaking volume. So that's on it. That's pretty low right there. All the way to this is maxed out and I'm talking at the same volume. So we'll stick around the mid, just a little lower than halfway for the rest of it. And when I watch it back later, I can try. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I do have the Q&A enabled. So if there is, I don't know what it looks like on your end as you're watching this. If you are watching this, I'll be here for a little bit, just kind of quickly running through stuff. If you do join in, I'll make sure that I say it again. If you do see an option to ask a question, if you could just ask a question just so I can see that it works, because that's something else I'd like to have as part of the chat and for future Google Hangouts. So yesterday was Free Comic Book Day, and those of you who are subscribed to Bang Comics, which is of course Mr. Tom, my son, you'll have seen his video about Free Comic Book Day. We ended up just going to two places. The third place that we wanted to go to wasn't open when we were in the neighborhood. I thought it was open at 10 in the morning on Saturdays. Obviously not. I think it does open at noon. So we did manage to hit two comic shops, and the first one was Mighty Comics, and that was across the road from where I used to live, kind of downtownish sort of area. And it was a great store. The place was filled with kids, first of all, which was really great to see. I was there with my son and my daughter. They both picked out some comics. Lily picked out a strawberry shortcake and something else. I can't remember what the other one was off the top of my head, but she paraded around with them, clenched tightly to her for the rest of the day, pretty much. She's absolutely in love with the strawberry shortcake comics that she has, especially the one that she has that's a scratch and sniff cover. The very first issue of it, we've read it probably 3 times now already. She is so in love with that comic book. It's really great. So it was a fun event. And at Mighty Comics, he had a bunch of sales going on. The biggest one was off graphic novels. And that was, I think, what was it, 25% off of the US price, which if you're in Canada, you know how much of a big deal that is right now with the dollars being so far apart here in Winnipeg. I've mentioned it before on my videos that the US price is no longer what we're getting charged. There was a time there for quite a while where we were pretty much on par with one another, where they were just using the US price. So for example, a $2.99 US comic was $2.99. That's no longer the case. A $2.99 comic now is going to run you probably over $4, $4.50. I don't know exactly how much, but they are going back to asking a Canadian price. It's not reflected on the comics themselves. Just looking at a couple of back issues that I have here, there was a time where, you know, everything was a US price and a Canadian price. for a while that went out the window, which makes anything that has a US price of more than that. For example, the hardcover that I got, the US price I think was $45. That makes that a really expensive book here in Canada. So the sale having 25% off of the US price was a fantastic thing. That offers us a huge discount. There was a few books that I had, and I ended up putting them all away when down low on one of the shelves, tucked into a corner. I saw this hardcover. There you go, do the knock. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. So that kind of immediately, wow, that really just white balance, changed the color there. That really just negated any other books that I was looking at as far as stuff that I wanted. I have this in parts and pieces, and I've read parts and pieces. I've never actually read the entire thing. So now to have the entire thing in a beautiful hardcover format is really, really exciting. I started reading it today. It even has a nice bookmark as well attached into the spine, which is great. Yeah, I mean, this is a great reproduction from humanoids, and I'm sure it's the same no matter where you live. The humanoids books are really expensive anyway. These reprints, especially the English translation ones, I don't know across the planet, across the globe, what the prices are on humanoid stuff. But so that was a really good score. The next place that we went to was book fair downtown, and same kind of thing. It was there just to check out what free comic books they had, which wasn't a lot actually. They had a lot of stuff from last year there. I don't know why they didn't have a bunch of new ones. I didn't ask because I didn't really look through the free comic book day stuff for myself. They did have a sale on back issues though, so Mr. Tom grabbed some Marvel Zombies and oh, sorry, before I go to that, the other thing that I found at, let's backtrack, sorry. The other part of the sale that he had at Mighty Comics was 50% off of back issues. In those back issues, he had a bunch of newer comics that were priced below, they were already priced below the US cover price. So for example, I picked up Low number 6. The cover price is $3.50. His price in the shop for the back issue is $3. 50% off of that, $1.50 for that one. So I was able to catch up like this on a couple of different series, which I'm pretty excited about. So Low number 6 and Low number 7. Which is exactly where I left off. These were the only 2 issues that he had, unfortunately, but I only have up to number 5, so at least I can kind of read the next couple and start to catch up. And then Rasputin was another one that I was following that I enjoyed, and again, I managed to be able to pick up exactly where I left off. So this is issue number 4 and issue number 5, variant of number 6. And then number 7. So that's a beautiful thing. I think this is up to 10, possibly. I don't remember, but that's all that he had of those. And finally, I was able to catch up mostly with the fade out. I'm now only missing the final issue. So this is number 7, number 9, 10, and 11, which is great. Those are all the ones that I was missing. Now I'm just missing number 12, and I've got the whole run, which is excellent. And again, I mean, 50% off of these prices is a fantastic thing. There was even a couple here that I think were priced at, oh, those are $4, $3. Yeah, one of the Rasputins was priced at $2. So, I mean, you can't beat $1 or $1.50 for a comic. So that was great to see that. So at the sale at Book Fair, I managed to find something that I just saw Tony Why Not Art talk about in his last video. He had a huge kind of 3-part haul of comics, and I love watching his videos, first of all, because there's always a lot of stuff that really appeals to me. While I'm talking here, sorry, let me mess around a little bit more with the volume and see what this does. I just noticed something else. So that's maxed out, same volume. That doesn't seem to be making any changes. Sorry to drift a little bit. Like I said, I do want to have this kind of as a test as well too. Back to the Q&A window. Okay, there you go. One of the things that he showed off was something that I was not aware of its existence. I really like Brian Azzarello, and if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know that I really like Richard Corbin as well. So he was showing off a Max Comics, so a Marvel Max series, a Luke Cage miniseries, a 5-issue miniseries. And I found 4 of them, starting with number 2, and the covers are really, really great stuff. 2, 3, 4, and my favorite of the bunch, number 5. That's such a great cover. And when I was looking at it online and adding it to my database, my CLZ app, I see that this is the cover they used for the trade, like the collection. So I'm just missing the 1 issue now, but great stuff. Absolutely love that cover so much. Really cool. I'm really looking forward to reading that. As I said, I didn't know that that was something that existed. It's pretty exciting news. I've heard on Twitter that it's maybe not the best story, but I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot. The art is beautiful, just flipping through it. I'm not really familiar with the Luke Cage character, but I don't know. I trust Azzarello for the most part. I do like his writing. So what else did I want to try while I'm here? I don't think much else. Let's have a look. I don't see that there's any viewers, but again, because all this has changed, that could be a complete lie. Let's look at this cameraman. No. Control room. Showcase. Oh, I see. So there's a show, the features disabled. I didn't enable it when I started the chat. Okay, understood. I wonder if I can go back. Again, bear with me. No, I can't. So that's something to keep in mind for myself, that you have to enable these things before you start the Hangout. Otherwise, you don't have access to them. Screen share. Let me just try one thing with screen share here. There's nobody watching, so I don't feel too guilty about it. Let me open up something here. I'll open that up. Close that. All right, let's have a look at a little screen share. So what I've been doing with my comics, if you've been watching the videos, is I've started writing out, especially with the undergrounds and stuff, I've started going through my whole collection and writing out, or rather copying and pasting and then printing out the brief write-ups that they have on Comics Joint and adding those to the backing board, just so I can have some of the basic information, like how many printings there were, how many copies of each, a little description of the interiors. There's a real nice layout of which artists are involved in what issue and what pages they have their stories on and stuff. I really, again, I mean, I can't promote Comics Joint enough. I really, really like it as a resource. So I thought I would print some stuff out. So I'm just going to share the page layout for you, just for the purpose of trying this function out. Okay, so you are screen sharing. There's a present to everyone option on this. I haven't clicked it yet because I'm the only one that's in this chat. I don't quite know what that means. I'm assuming that it means that it'll just kind of appear on everybody's screen who's participating in the Hangout. But for the time being, I've just shared it, and that's all I've done. So what I'm going to try to do now is scroll through this. I wonder if highlighting and things work. So at the top is the Book of Raziel, is the page at the top of the page. I just highlighted the line right underneath it, only printing December 1969, 28 pages, the print mint. When I watch this again, when I watch this back, just to see if that actually did anything. There it's clicked off, and now we'll just kind of scroll through. So as you can see, the way they have things laid out on the Comics Joint is Death Rattle Volume 1, Number 1, and then they always have how many different printings there were for each of these comics. In this particular instance, there was only one printing. It came out in June 1972. It was 36 pages long, and Kitchen Sink was the publisher. And then it gives you a little write-up, a little description of it, of the book itself and some of the stories. Historical footnotes. Kitchen Sink Enterprises printed approximately 20,000 copies of this comic book. It has not been reprinted. That's always some great information. And then the creators, Richard Corbin, Tim Boxell, John M. Pound, and Peter Poplaski, and then does a little breakdown of the pages that they had their stories on. Continuing to mess around is scrolling through this Fantagor number 1, Googie Womer comics, Hee Hee comics, and Kukui comics, Cyclops, I think that translates to Cyclops comics. A John Thompson, which apparently there's a collection of John Thompson. Somebody in one of those videos was letting me know, sorry, your name escapes me, was letting me know that there's a collection out there of Thompson's stuff, and then some writings by him as well, just kind of describing, which would be great. Light, Snarf number 1, and there's Suds, and then finally Checkered Demon and Spots. Spots was something that wasn't listed on Comics Joint. This description I think I found on, I don't know, it might have been Amazon. I'm not really sure where I found it, but just to have a little bit of a write-up on it. Comics Joint is something that's always kind of under construction. So I'm going to stop this, and it should come back to me. There we go. I see myself on the screen anyway, so I hope that's working. Still no viewers accordingly. Let's open up the questions. Answered questions, no. Questions, there's also on the YouTube page, I wonder if this is already sharing on my Comic Crack channel. Oh, this is hosted by Terrence Fuller. See, that's something else I didn't do. I didn't go to the Crack comic page. I did my Terrence Fuller page. Okay, well, that's good to know. I'm going to stop this now, and then I'll see what happened. Yeah, thanks very much to those of you who maybe do see this. I'll probably end up deleting it, but there you go. Serving more of a test than anything. I hope everybody has a good Sunday. We'll talk to you later.